This story I have for you for when I'm not podcasting is very peculiar to me. InsideHook.com puts the story out. Is being single making men broke, or is it the other way around? A recent Pew Research Center study found that single men make less money than men in relationships. Well, that is correct. In some cases, now marriages, let's just say relationships, let's actually more refer to it as marriages because of the thought process of, yes, if you are with a significant other, whether you're dating seriously in a serious relationship, or you are married or engaged, you would have to imagine there is a little bit of a deviation between who's paying for what, or that there's money being spent together. I mean, there might be some thought, or if somebody's, here's a better way to say it. If two people are actually living together and there are some of the costs that are being taken away that would normally be taken by a guy and gal, they're doing it by themselves, that might be a different story. But this is an interesting story. So Kayla Kibb, who I love, she always has these wonderful stories I got to go and talk about here. I'm always curious about, do I even follow her? No, you know what? I'm not sure if I do. Well, I'm doing it now anyway, so there you go. Going to take care of that. So let's take the story that she has here. While many men, or at least many men who have dated me, may think having a girlfriend is a pricey endeavor, it turns out not having one might be actually worse for a man's bottom line. And a recent report from Pew Research Center found that single people tend to make significantly less money on average than their coupled counterparts, declaring that single adults at prime working age increasingly lag behind who those are married or cohabitating. And the report also found the correlation between income and relationship status was particularly pronounced among men. So the median annual income for single men, 2019, $35,600. Median annual income. Well, I do a little better than that. Let's just say that. Partnered men earn a median income of $57,000. Trends also applied to single versus partner women. The income discrepancy is a little bit less pronounced. So a woman single, median income $32,000, or $40,000 median income as a partnered in a relationship. So the bad news for the growing population of singles between the prime working ages of 25 to 54, which has increased to 38% from 2019 to 38%, to just 29% in 1990. It's also bad news for society as a growing army of single broke men have recently been deemed a mounting existential threat. Well, I don't know if it's so much that. I just think there's a lot of guys that are not working careers younger than I am. And they're probably finding other ways to kind of be their own entrepreneurs without having to work the normal corporate structure or some kind of a wage job they just don't want to do. They're finding ways to go and work online or doing whatever they have to just for the eager means of being able to go and, game or to just do simple hobbies or things that they enjoy without probably the need of a woman. Who knows? The analysis also found that single people are less likely to have a college degree than partnered ones. And study authors Richard Fry and Kim Parker suggested that could be a contributing factor to the income discrepancy. So now, the trend that she talks about here is a question of which came first, the income or the relationship. In other words, are people in relationships more likely to make more money? Are people who make more money more likely to be in relationships? Okay. So now, these study officials, they suggested the possibility that the men with higher levels of education, higher wages, and better prospects for the future may simply be more desirable potential spouses. Still, they also question whether they may be something about marriage or partnership that gives a boost to a man's economic outcomes. Now, I would like to think this as well, that probably some men out there probably don't really go out there and talk about what they are making for a living. Because here's the other thing. They're talking about income. Is anybody talking about investments? Because that's the part I don't hear about there. And I know a lot of people right now, especially younger than I am, that are heavily invested in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, or they're invested in the stock market and they have their money that they might have that median income, which might be a little bit meager to all of you out there, They're not making big paychecks, but we're putting money aside. We're saving. We're trying to go and put things together and put aside money that we can and just doing a better job of it. I think that's part of the reason. Now, there is existing research that suggests partnered men may work harder, perhaps out of a sense of duty to provide for a partner or family. Well, that is definitely true. In 2015, sociologist Bradford Wilcox claimed married men were less likely to quit a job before securing another one than their single counterparts, and also found that married men tend to spend more hours at work than single ones, though more cynical minds may question whether those long work hours stem from a sense of familial duty or a desire to avoid the wife and kids. Ultimately, it's hard to say whether being single is making you broke or being broke is making you single. Still, picking up a girlfriend probably isn't your key to a higher paying job. I would be willing to hazard a higher paying job just to help land you a relationship. Now, here's the other part that's got to be said. There's a couple things to still consider here, that the men are finding a way to go and work with the income they have, and they're probably working multiple jobs or working multiple side hustles to make that work. I know I have to do that myself. And some cases they don't know where to go to get to that. But also, the men might not be doing so much to kind of they need to put some kind of a status together. Younger guys probably be a little more acceptable, for instance, to stay home. As we know, there's a lot of broke men that are talking about that are younger, that are basically staying at home if they can. So if there's not much of an income to be put out, or if they're working and they're staying at home with the parents, they might just be doing that. But the money they're holding on to with that, among other things, and the level of not going out so much because they might just be staying home to watch, Netflix and stream, or play video games or do other things or build content of their own and stay at home, could be the other thing too. I mean, there's a lot of things that can be considered to that. Plus, remember, in relationships, okay, if you are single guys and if the guys are not with any women because dating has gotten so much more difficult, if the women are not susceptible to dating and they just don't feel like there's a need to date, then the money being spent on dates and trying to foster a relationship, to spend time with a woman, it does cost money. I mean, can't think of yourself that every girl is just going to take somebody that, let's go walk the park. Let's look at the stars. Let's go, just walk. Let's just go around and do things, right? Without spending a dime. No, because there's a lot of lavish dinners or, concerts and events that you have to go to, which you are going to have to splurge on that girl because that's what she expects, or that's what society expects you to do if you want to have a girl like her. So that's where it comes from. And then when you do that, that takes away from your income, but then you also have to find ways to kind of keep that money up. So there are guys that want to be able to live the lifestyle so they can get the girls and to be able to spend money on the girls that they want. So there's part of that can come into play. But then when you are in a relationship, then the level of spending, I would imagine, kind of slows down, because then you can also make the excuse, well, let's just stay home. Let's just spend time together. Let's just, we'll get groceries. We'll make dinner together. We can find things where we don't have to go out to spend money. And then relationships will just become that. So, I mean, there's a lot of different variations of this. So I could see part of that as well. And another story that she also put up here was about the fact of there might be the lone broke men that are deemed a threat to society. And Kelly Kim also reports about a lack of male college enrollment, breeding a growing population of lonely men who may prove dangerous. One NYU professor actually NYU professor Scott Galloway said, quote, "The most dangerous person in the world is a broke and lone male. And bad news, we are producing too many of them." So Galloway was on a CNN appearance a couple of weeks ago talking about how lowering rates of college enrollment among men is creating a population of uneducated, unattached men, a dangerous cohort that poses an existential threat to society. Well, then he tries to say here that the most unstable, violent societies in the world all share one thing: young, depressed men who aren't attaching to work, aren't attaching to school, and aren't attaching to relationships. But let's keep in mind the style of dating is right now changed. I go to the mall so often, and I go out, especially if I even do Uber as well. How often do you see people holding hands, like guys and gals, or girls together, or guys together, whatever? Maybe people are actually, like, you see them in love, and then, like, just starting off like almost like the honeymoon of dating. How often do you see that now? I rarely see that anymore. I see a lot of people that have been, if they're in relationships, they are in relationships, and you can just tell they've been with each other for a long time. But I don't see the kind of level of, like, people just going out, and you see people, you can actually see them dating. Man, I don't see a lot of that anymore. And I should know, because I'm pretty much a people watcher. I observe that kind of thing. Because if it's something I'm not doing, I'm curious what other people are doing with their time, right? Just from afar, looking, observing, overseeing. That's all. Wall Street Journal reported on the dearth of men in college earlier this year that women make up a significant majority of college students in the U.S. An all-time high of 59.5% of college students at the end of the 2021 school year, men 40.5%. So the theory is to be that if men don't have jobs and girlfriends to distract them, their inherent evil starts to seep out. Should men need jobs, relationships, and college degrees to keep their dangerous tendencies at bay? She says she'd like to think not, but unfortunately it seems society has given us plenty of reason to fear the lone, broke male. All right, so Kayla, I get where you're coming from there. But I believe that what's happening is, I think there's more guys that are career-oriented, but they're not going to college because, let's be honest, college, it's just a means to getting the degree that gives you the paperwork, the entrance into an entry-level job in a career workforce. That's what it is. I mean, I honestly say, with my college degree, I got more out of the internships I did off campus and what I did within the college's, extracurricular media programs. I worked on the school newspaper. I was working vehemently on the campus radio station. And that's what I enjoyed. And I got to be very much a part of that and doing events and learning so much. Like, there's quite a bit I learned from the college radio days that I still apply today because I learned so much from that. That's what it was. And the newspaper's the same thing. I did my first public writing on the newspapers right there. And it was wonderful. I learned so much from that. And there were certain things I definitely learned from certain professors about what to do when it comes to news writing and news reporting, which is no longer valid anymore because of the way news is reported these days. It's just shock and awe, just finding ways that people keep people angry and emotional and in tears and in fear of their lives and outraged with vitriol and spewing at the mouth, foaming at the mouth, basically. I think what's happening is now we just see more of where guys are just finding different ways, or they're just going and deciding to go work trades. They're trying to do other things where they can make money. And it's just because of the fact you're not going to school anymore. Yeah. Because, guys are going to find their own way to work around things like that. I mean, not all guys are going to probably go ahead and go to school. Or they just feel like they don't have to. They can learn enough from their computers, their tablets, their phones. Technology's had them so advanced in what they're able to do that in a lot of ways, if you're talking about like tech, for instance, college professors cannot possibly keep up with the changes of the Google algorithm that happen monthly. They can't keep up with certain new social media trends. The curriculum, the textbooks that are put out there for college, in most cases, in those fields, they can become obsolete in they're obsolete almost as soon as they print them. I mean, it's not even worth actually printing out books anymore with the way things are. So there are certain things absolutely that are important when it comes to studies, but if you're going through the core curriculum and you're going through college, like say sciences or math, well, most likely some of these people already have like the math skills they need or the skills into that kind of thing. But there are definitely certain areas that college do help benefit when it comes to, say, like if you want an accounting degree or if you want an engineering degree, things like that, or medical degree, obviously. There are areas for college to be done with that. And what I also note as well is that there are a lot of women that I notice more than anything. Some of the interactions that I have with some women, they're in the nursing. As they all go to school for caretaking, for nursing, to either be RNs, CNAs, HHAs, caretaking. That's a very popular field, among other things. But that's where I see things going. I mean, to try to say lone and broke, they're trying to say it's because they don't have a college degree, they're going to be broke. Well, maybe not. I mean, you don't have to have a college degree to have a career. Like, how many entrepreneurs do we hear out there that never even they finished high school and they went on and did something really big for themselves because they found the next big, Shark Tank type of invention or product or service or whatever it might be, innovation. So I don't take the whole breadth of what the story is about, but hey, it's interesting to talk about. Anyway, I'll leave it there, and I'll talk to you next time.